o'clock, a couple of minutes after. We have a quorum. We're ready to start our meeting. We're now in session. The Public Safety Licensing Committee is now officially in session. The first order of business is item number 1052-23. Communication sponsored by myself, Alder Pete, submitting a new application.
Could we vote?
Yeah. I started off on the wrong page. I'm sorry. Okay, first order of business is the approval of minutes for the October 30th, 23 meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is item number 98923. The subject is communication sponsored by myself, Alder Pete, requesting the appearance of Marika Foxy for a new operator's license in District 6. The recommendation of the Public Safety and Licensing Committee on 10/30/23 was to defer. Is the applicant present? No. Okay.
Move to deny.
We have a motion and a second to deny. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Operator's license for Foxy is denied, so the applicant didn't appear. Our next item is 1029-23, communication sponsored by myself, Alderman Pete, submitting a new application for a Class B fermented malt beverage for the Munchies Spot LLC, doing business as the Munchies Spot, located at 1824 Douglas Avenue. Wendy Galino, agent, 7th District. Please come up. Thank you. Attorney Arn will now swear you in, please.
Raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Thank you, both of you. You're here today because you're applying for a Class B license. Please explain your plans for the license. What do you plan on doing with business? And we will want to know about your qualifications to handle the responsibility of having the liquor license that you're applying for.
Okay. Right now we serve fast food, and we would like to add the tap beer. So to serve, because we've been asked to, if we sell beer, but we don't, because we don't have the license. So
sure.
We serve the tap beer.
Okay. I understand, I know from the application you have experience, you and your other associates have experience with the food side of it. Do you have any experience with the actually taking responsibility of selling alcohol in itself? Okay. Attorney Arn, could you please speak to the item?
Sure. So she did have a Good Neighbors meeting last week. This is a restaurant that is currently operating. It started operating in August of this year, so they're just applying for a small Class B license to add beer to the menu. The only change from the application was the closing hours on weekends. It looks like the dine-in portion of the restaurant will close at 9 o'clock. However, she wants to have the hours until 10 o'clock in case there are customers finishing up their meals. So that's really the only change. Other than that, she already has an occupancy permit to operate. No history of any nuisance issues at this particular premise. And it looks like she'll be operating the premise with her husband, so she'll be primarily in charge.
Okay. Are there any questions from the committee?
Question?
Please.
The first one is the application that we received, so I'm sorry, this is for the attorney. The application in which we received for the new liquor license packet, it did have the hours on the weekend till 9. So where are you seeing the extension of 10, considering the application does say 9?
So, right on page 10 of your packet, there's an amendment to the alcohol beverage license application, and that was signed and that was received and signed and submitted after we had the Good Neighbors meeting.
Nice.
So it
So
would
maybe
be
I'm reading it out of order.
on page 10 of your packet.
Don't get numbered in the internet.
Right. So the
Okay.
weekday hours
Okay.
from Monday to Thursday would be.
Oh, no,
10
I
to
did
9.
read that, I did, thank you. Okay, very good. How is business going since August? How is it over there?
It's going well so far.
Is it? Yeah, now, is that, so that's 100 block, is that the old Pinocchio?
It is, yeah.
Pinocchio. Not too far from my district, so, it's good to see that somebody's occupying that space, and tell me a little bit about why you want to introduce alcohol to your business.
Because most of the customers ask sell beer, and the beginning, that was gonna be our part of the menu, but then we removed it so that we can accelerate the process and open it up, and just try to add one more item to the menu.
I see that, there's a couple days of the week that you're choosing to be closed. Yeah, what's that?
On Sundays, right, that we're closed.
None of us have amended that, I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday.
Or Sunday.
And Sunday. So that's updated as well? Yeah. Maybe we.
Yes, you did state closed.
You
Sunday.
did, just, I'm looking at your original, or the application that came in, and you had an amendment that came in, and I'm
Sorry.
looking just at your plan here, so it's hard for me to toggle back and forth, so I apologize. Here it is, just closed on Sundays. Prior, were you just open, were you open?
No, never open Sundays.
No, not on Sundays, but on Wednesdays and Thursdays? You were?
Yeah, it was, Monday through Saturday.
The continued line, 10 to 9. Just to do some due diligence here when reading. How is it, when you find your clientele, is a lot of it, neighborhood clientele? Would you be able, or business?
Yeah. Surrounding, neighborhood.
Good, that's good to hear. So, it's a good segue into what I'm gonna say next. When you start introducing alcohol, it's a privilege to be able to serve it. And so we have to go through this process and, you know, you fill out this application, we try to read it, with a fine tooth comb, even though I'm missing some things here. But it's because it's our only time to be able to try to gauge the responsibility and, of the party that's applying. And, you know, if you end up having an irresponsible operator, we tend to have some hardships, not only as a city as a whole, but our public safety. And so, being that you're serving your neighborhood, it sounds like, you know, you've become part of that neighborhood. So I just ask that, you know, you do your part to be responsible and to, you have to take an extra level now. If somebody asks you for 2 burgers, 3 burgers, 4 burgers, you're not gonna question them.
Right.
But if they start asking for 4 or 5, you know, drinks, then you do have to start questioning that, right? So there's an extra level of responsibility that you carry on your shoulder, so. There hasn't been alcohol right there for a while, and, yeah, and so that's my hesitation right now. It's like, so now we're gonna be introducing alcohol to the area. Granted, there's a gas station right around that serves, or sells, so, you know, there's a little bit of hesitancy there, but I like that you're not staying open too late, and it's not acting as a tavern, it's really a place for people to get a meal, and then to wet their whistle while they're eating, so.
Thank you, Committeeman Caprayan. Committeeman Peterson, do you have any questions?
No, just a quick statement. I've heard good things about your food, and I like the fact the operating hours, the problems tend to happen after you're really closed, so good luck.
And I would just, before we entertain a motion, I would just like to reiterate what Committeeman Caprayan pointed out. It is a new responsibility, and it's like I remember when I got my, bartender's license, you have to be responsible for the clientele, their actions, and unfortunately, because it's your, business, even after you close, again, just want to reiterate, and
Right. Not having anyone hanging out after.
yeah, because it, as she said, it's all, you have the responsibility as the owner of the establishment. Are there any other questions or concerns? Seeing none at this time, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I still gotta say it. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look,
And our next item, back to where I wanted to start, right? Item number 1052-23, communication sponsored by myself, Alder Pete, submitting a new application for a small Class A retail fermented malt beverage license premises for Georgetown Market, Inc., DBA Georgetown Market, which is located at 3710 Meacham Road. Mr. Patel, agent, in association to item 097223, 14th District. Thank you. I remember from last time. Thank you for coming up. Attorney Earn will now swear you in.
Both raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, we all remember from last time, you want to apply for basically the packaged beer license. Okay, you understand. Do you have any other comments or questions? We have some, I'm sure. Okay, the first thing, and I'll ask the committee for any questions and let them express their concerns, but we still have what's called a geographical location restriction. As your neighbor, which is like, 200 feet around the corner from you, that is still an issue, a hurdle, you might say, that we have to deal with. So at this point, Attorney Earn, do you have anything to add? Any information?
Not unless the committee would like me to go over the criteria again.
Would you please?
Sure.
If you don't mind, thank you.
Sure. So in order to exceed the geographic restrictions, because there is another Class A premise within 1,000 feet of the proposed business, the licensee would have to establish specifically two things at issue here. The first one is that the proposed establishment would have a greater impact upon the community than simply the addition of another tavern, liquor store, convenience store, restaurant. That's the first one. And then the second one is the proposed establishment will benefit the community by substantially improving the tax base, such as the establishment will extensively rehabilitate a blighted or deteriorated building, construct a new building on vacant land, or benefiting the community by conferring some other tangible or substantial improvement for the area.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to the committee for any questions, concerns. Please.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know who,
no,
okay, all the people.
I appreciate you making the change, and I find this to be an acceptable option to your prior request.
Committeeman Capri?
Sure. I do have just a few questions, but I see the alder in the district has come in, don't mean to put her on the spot, but this, item is for the Georgetown Market. Do you have any comments or anything to contribute to the conversation as we decide?
Sure, if I may.
Please.
Okay. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. It's pretty news, nice to see you again. I'm here in support of this, application to be approved. I just did want to, also add that being on this committee before, one of the things that all the Caprillion said has always stuck with me is, which is, these, licenses are, privileges, not rights. So I was here before on this committee when all of those, licenses were turned in. So I do approve this one, I do support the approval of this one. I just want you to know, for the agent or whomever is responsible, the responsible party, that a lot of this stuff comes with responsibilities, and I hope that you guys are abiding by it, because just all I'm here for, support. If something comes up and the committee decides that they have to take action against you, I'll also be here in support of them. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Any other comments or questions from the committee?
Yeah, I'll continue. Thank you. So now that you have changed to a different class liquor license, I just want to know how you feel about that. Do you have any comments in regards to that?
You know, when we apply for the board, we are looking for as a business, so, you know, the way to there, and we used to have a 2 license on there, the liquor on that, but unfortunately, one of the guys, he advised me, you know, to do first things for beer, and then because I think one time when we apply, I think 1 year after we can reapply, right? So that's why we went to the only the beer first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we changed that.
Okay. Thank you. And I don't know if you were able to digest what the attorney was saying about us having to exceed the geographical restrictions. So there is some consideration that we have to put in place when making this decision whether to approve or not. And the first one I thought was a little bit easy that the attorney had mentioned, and that's in regards to, and I'm like, I'm not going to do you any justice here, but in regards to what you're going to be providing, it just can't be another liquor establishment, another bar. And I understand you offer more. You offer a service, you know, you offer gasoline, and you also offer goods within inside your establishment. And so sometimes I see, and I have not gone by, and this is where I would lean on the alder, is there where obsessive, like totally obsessive marketing on liquored goods end up plastering the walls, plastering every bit of marketing. And then to me, then you sit and wonder, you know, what are you trying to be? More so a liquor store, or more so a convenience or a gas station? So just keep that in mind. And also, I think last time I brought up there was some concerns about the conditions inside the establishment had kind of downgraded a bit. And so I hope you keep that in mind as well, because again, your establishment really is providing a service to the neighborhood, and it shows the respect to the neighborhood. If you upkeep what you have going on, it shows that, you know, you are really respecting the neighborhood because you are part of the neighborhood. When it starts going downhill, it's a reflection then of what you feel about the neighborhood. So, the second requirement, improving the tax base. Oh, improving the tax base. So, that's a hard one. I can understand how it improves your business, you know, selling liquor. There is definitely a gain, a business, a financial gain for yourself. Yeah, and introduction of liquor, I tend to teeter on that one, because what really does that do for our community? In a sense, you're providing something that, we all have the rights to walk in and decide to buy or not, but, I'm not sure how much it improves the quality of life in a community. So, I guess just keep what I'm saying in mind, and, the alderman of the district alderwoman of the district has said, what I often say is that it is a privilege to be able to serve liquor. You did that before. You served alcohol before, and, I'm not sure the nature of why everything got turned in. That's definitely, something that between you and whoever the agent was at the time. But, now, in a sense, we have an opportunity to be able to talk to you, and this is just a continuation of the relationship I hope we have over time. If you're finding you're having some troubles, and, the attorney's office, the clerk's office, and public safety are always accessible before you have to come back before this committee. So you'll probably never see us again unless the renewal time in a year, or if you upgrade your liquor application. So.
Thank you, Alder Caprellian. I would just kind of like to add to what, Alder Caprellian has stated, and that is that one of the conditions that we have to look at is adding value to the area, and I would say classify that as being a good neighbor, adding value to the property by maintaining it, and hopefully increasing non-liquor sales, as well as liquor sales, I get it. But, and of course, I'm thinking that it ultimately will help increase the tax base of the property, and, so that we'll build a good relationship. And with that said, I think I would entertain a motion, unless there are any other questions. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good luck, gentlemen, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council meeting is next week.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 1074-23, subject communication, sponsored by myself, Alder Pete, on behalf of the City of Racine Police Department for the license premises report. Sergeant Sell, did anything stick out at you in the report?
Yeah, I have a few calls that I'd like to know. On the early morning hours on Sunday, the 29th, at Marcy's on Main, we had a fairly large fight in the entrance area of the tavern. They did have security there, or bouncers that assisted in trying to take care of the fight. I just want to note that none of the security or bouncers or the tavern themselves called in, which is slightly concerning to call about a police presence for that fight, especially of that size.
Okay.
That's one item to note. We had shots fired at the American Legion on Douglas. In that, the bartender was the caller. It looks like this mainly happened outside, not really involving any parties who were inside the tavern, but it did happen in the parking lot. And they were able to assist us in viewing cameras. They were very helpful in our investigation as far as being willing to assist law enforcement with the problem that was at hand.
Okay.
And then calls from the Sports Pub, 1301 Washington Avenue. They were previously operating under a license of Top 10 Sports Pub on Washington, and twice officers were denied entry, at least initially, to the tavern. The first time they were believed to have been open after hours. This was the day of daylight savings. They stated they closed at 1:30, however, officers saw people come and going well past the 3 o'clock while they were there blocking traffic for an accident scene. They were refused entry into the bar. That day, the co-manager who identified himself there was cited. And later that day, around 11 o'clock, we were called there for a fight. And again, nobody wanted to allow the police officers entry while the business was open. And they later did allow the officers in. Once again, the Class B license they did have on hand was under a different name, so the officers closed down the tavern for the day. Those are the items I have of note.
Thank you.
I'll entertain any questions you guys may have.
Well, clarification on Sports Pub, first one was Saturday night operation going into Sunday, correct?
Morning, correct.
All right. Clarification on that.
Okay.
And the American Legion, looks like one party was, taken into custody. It's located at the American Legion. Was that person off property, not in the bar
Yes.
itself, correct?
Yeah, in the area of the sidewalk, parking lot.
Any other questions, concerns about the report?
Yeah, I just have a couple. So I'm a little concerned, and I'm teetering on whether, do we wait for something else to see, if this is a new trend for the sports pub? I don't know if I recall seeing them come on the licensed premises
My
before.
first time.
No, they were cited, So there was some type of interaction. It doesn't feel right if you're refusing to let
Yeah.
officers into the
I'm
establishment.
concerned about that also.
You have a comment?
I do have some more information. This
Okay.
was actually brought to my attention as well, the sports pub instance, by Sergeant McGath, and I did review the police reports, and, it looks like when the officers arrived, they spoke with two individuals who both identified themselves as the owner, neither one of which is listed on the license application. And this is a business that submitted a name change, couple months back with the city clerk's office. There's some question as to whether or not that has to go through the committee, but that's an ongoing and separate issue. But nevertheless, it might be a situation where there's a new owner in place, because that's what it looks like. There are two names that aren't anywhere on a license application who identify themselves as owners.
What would be your suggestion to proceed forward?
In these type of cases, especially in cases where there has been refusal to let officers enter, to me, that's a pretty serious violation. This committee has always called someone in for that violation as a formal expression of concern. It's not a violation that I take lightly, and the police department does not bring many incidents to my attention, and they did with this one.
And not only that, could we, if we brought them in, to speak in regards to this, can we talk about, their licensing status?
Yes.
Then let's call in, or I would ask that we call in the sports pub.
I would second the motion. I mean, you can, I don't want to jump in
Go right
front of you.
ahead.
But I think it's serious, I agree with all that's been expressed.
I agree, anytime somebody's not cooperating, with the police department, it's a big issue.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye, that we have a formal expression of concern for the sports pub at 1301 Washington Avenue. Aye. Any noes? Motion carries.
I did have one other item
Please.
to ask about. It was the 15th.
I'm sorry, but we're gonna get to that. Attorney Arnold's gonna update us on
Oh,
that.
okay.
Certainly provide the
Okay.
committee with an update. Marcia Fernholz from the Health Department did look into this issue, and unfortunately, she could not be here tonight, but I did have a conversation with her, so she wanted me to pass on at least her initial findings to the committee. So the license, if you recall, is under Shaquila Buckley. Tyrone Buckley is her father. He's the one who appeared at the last PSNL meeting in which they were called in for. He's not technically on the license. According to Ms. Fernholz, Shaquila Buckley just had a baby. She wasn't able to make their meeting. The father showed up. He was asked about the hookah bar that is advertising and operating out of the premises. And it looks like they did do an inspection, and there is seating in the bar for a hookah area. And the hookah bar is operating as a separate entity and business, according to the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. The same thing with Zeke's. There's a restaurant operating out of the bar called Zeke's under a separate name, a separate LLC by a separate individual. He's operating and selling food out of the bar. Mr. Buckley was informed that he can't do that. It sounds like it's one of those situations where they're handing over the operation of the bar to different individuals to operate. Ms. Fernholz used the term hiring a temp agency to operate the bar, which obviously you cannot do. And it looks like as far as the third-party website that allows any person to order alcohol, that was operating. It was operating under the name 1518, but apparently that was done by Zeke's, the other entity that's operating within the bar. So they were selling alcohol online and up to 3:59 a.m. There's still ongoing investigation, but that's the information that we have so far. The Department of Revenue is also looking into this. They were supposed to do an inspection, I believe, this week, but I don't have that information. So far, it looks like there are quite a few, violations that can be confirmed.
So, should we wait till we get the additional information, or do you feel it's time to make a motion for an expression of formal concern at this point?
I personally like having all the information before we bring them in, but I mean, if it sounds like everything's gonna be wrapped up before then, I have no problem.
So, in my opinion, I mean, it can go either way. It could even help, maybe even the state, you know, if we go through and do a formal expression of concern, and if it were to go through a due process, that's just added, information, to provide the state as well. My concern, even if it is Zeke's who served to 3 some in the morning, that's not who we gave the license to, so that's irrelevant to me. The oversight then needs to happen by, the owner. And so, and then I did hear, and
We'll talk about it.
I don't know if this is under investigation as well, were they charging for parking? Did the police department come upon their parking lot and saw that they were charging for parking?
They're barricaded.
They had barricades. There's a safe van parked back there which has cameras.
Okay,
I was not able to confirm or deny whether
Okay.
they were actually charging for parking, but they were trying to limit some of the parking problems that they've had back there by placing the barricades.
okay,
When the officers went back there and they observed the barricades, there were only 2 vehicles back there, so would lead me to believe that they were charging for parking, at the very least. Not many people took them up on that, because there were only 2 vehicles back there. But that would be of concern, that's a municipal park.
yeah. The next area too, I remember we had an establishment that came in here that was operating as a cafe, and we gave the license to, sell liquor, because they had, venue, different type of, neighborhood things, but he also had a business of refurbishing, different type of furniture and stuff, and it was stated you can't operate another business inside of the liquor establishment. So if he is, if they are operating this hookah, would that still be considered, another business inside of the establishment, and it's not permitted?
It is not permitted, it is against state law to operate either the hookah bar as a separate entity or Zeke's.
So-
I would be in favor of bringing them in.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second.
Yes.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion to bring 1518 in as a formal expression of, concern for their activities. Motion passes. No objections, right?
Correct.
Motion passes. Okay, we have okay, now we need a motion and a motion to, file and receive the police report.
And file the, police premise report.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Motion passes. I think I went out of order, but we have basically exhausted our, Alan?
You got a 75 to bring to the council, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, 1075, communication sponsored by myself, requesting any consideration, any formal expression of concern or other action pursuant to the police report. Thought we had exhausted it, but is
You
it?
did, but you didn't call the 2 items together.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So you can just, Amber has it for the notes that you're making the 2 call-ins, correct?
Yes.
Then I just need to approve.
Motion to approve the 2 formal expressions of concern.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2 formal expressions of concern. Is there a sec, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Motion carries for the 2 formal expressions of concern. we've exhausted our agenda. Motion to adjourn. I know I don't have to make it, but I like democracy. Anyone
Move to
object to?
adjourn.
Thank you. We are adjourned.